GCP Platform and Cloud Engineering Part 2. This episode has 17 questions. For each question, take a moment to think through your own answer before I share a strong approach. Question 1. Leadership or behavioral? Responsible AI. What checks would you add for bias, explainability, lineage, and responsible AI before approving a model for production? Here's a strong way to approach it. Add fairness or bias evaluation across relevant demographic slices of the evaluation data before approval, not just aggregate accuracy, and require explainability tooling, SHAP or LIME or a model-native explanation method, for high-stakes decisions so predictions can be justified to affected users or auditors. Ensure full lineage. What data, code, and process produced this model version, is captured and reviewable, and establish a responsible AI review gate as a required step in the promotion pipeline, not an optional afterthought. Nice. Let's continue. Question 2. GCP services. Cloud SQL performance. A Cloud SQL database has high CPU and log contention. How would you debug queries, connections, pooling, indexes, replicas, and app rollout impact? Here's a strong way to approach it. Use Cloud SQL's query insights to identify the slowest and most frequent queries, and check for log contention specifically around transactions holding locks longer than necessary, often from a missing index causing a full table scan within a transaction. Verify the application's connection pool is sized appropriately. Too many connections can itself cause CPU overhead from context switching. Consider read replicas to offload read traffic from the primary, and correlate the CPU spike timing with any recent application deployment that might have introduced an inefficient query pattern. Great. Moving on. Question 3. SRE or reliability. Platform engineering. What self-service golden paths would you build for product teams, and what guardrails would you enforce without slowing delivery? Here's a strong way to approach it. Build golden paths for the highest frequency needs first. New service scaffolding with CI or CD and observability pre-wired. Standardized infrastructure provisioning, database, cache, storage, through a self-service API, and a well-documented deployment or rollback pattern. Enforce guardrails that matter most. Security baseline, resource limits, required observability, as defaults baked into the golden path rather than manual gates. So following the easy path automatically means following the safe path. And delivery speed and safety aren't in tension. Alright, next question. Question 4. Fast API. Fast API fundamentals. How would you structure a production fast API service with routers, dependencies, schemas, settings, and clear module boundaries? Here's a strong way to approach it. Organize by domain rather than by technical layer. A directory per feature area containing its own router, pedantic schemas, and service logic, with shared dependencies. Auth. DB session. In a common module imported across features. Use a settings module backed by pedantic space settings for typed, validated configuration loaded from environment variables. And register routers on the main app with clear URL prefixes so the module structure and the API structure stay intuitively aligned. Let's keep going. Question 5. Fast API. Fast API request validation. How do pedantic models, response models, and validation errors help keep API safe and predictable? Here's a strong way to approach it. Pedantic request models validate and coerce incoming data at the API boundary before any business logic runs, automatically rejecting malformed input with a clear 422 error instead of letting bad data propagate into the application. Response models constrain what's actually returned, preventing accidental overexposure of internal fields, and consistent validation error formatting means clients can reliably parse and handle errors programmatically rather than guessing at ad hoc error shapes. On to the next one. Question 6. Fast API. Fast API async. When should a fast API endpoint be async, and what mistakes can block the event loop in production? Here's a strong way to approach it. Make an endpoint async when it awaits I or O bound operations, database calls with an async driver, HTTP calls to other services, so fast API can serve other requests while waiting rather than blocking a worker. The common mistake is calling blocking synchronous code, a sync DB driver, CPU-heavy computation, or time sleep directly inside an async endpoint, which blocks the entire event loop and stalls every other concurrent request on that worker. Blocking work should either use a truly async library or be offloaded to a thread pool. Good. Here's another one. Question 7. Fast API. Fast API security. How would you implement JWT or OAuth 2 authentication, role-based access, secret handling, and least privilege for internal APIs? Here's a strong way to approach it. Use Fast API's OAuth 2 password bearer or a JWT dependency that validates the token signature and expiry on every request, extracting claims, user ID, roles, into a reusable getCurrentUser dependency that other endpoints depend on. Implement role-based access as an additional dependency checking required roles against the token's claims. Store signing keys or secrets in Secret Manager rather than hard-coded. And design each endpoint's required scope narrowly so a compromised token has the smallest possible blast radius. Nice. Let's continue. Question 8. Fast API. Fast API observability. What logs, metrics, traces, request IDs, and health endpoints would you add before deploying a Fast API service? Here's a strong way to approach it. Add structured JSON logging with a request ID generated per request via middleware, and propagated through all log lines and downstream calls. Prometheus metrics for request count or latency or error rate exposed at or metrics, and open telemetry tracing instrumented automatically via Fast API's middleware integration. Include or healths, liveness, and or readiness, checking real dependencies like the database endpoints so Kubernetes probes reflect actual service health, not just process liveness. Great. Moving on. Question 9. Fast API. Fast API deployment. How would you deploy Fast API with Uvicorn or Gunicorn, containers, Kubernetes or GKE, autoscaling, probes, and graceful shutdown? Here's a strong way to approach it. Run Uvicorn workers managed by Gunicorn, or Uvicorn's own multi-worker mode, inside a container, sized to the pod CPU allocation, and deploy on GKE with HPA scaling based on CPU or a custom request rate metric. Configure readiness or liveness probes hitting dedicated health endpoints, and handle SIGTERM gracefully. Uvicorn supports this natively, so in-flight requests complete before the pod terminates during a rolling update, avoiding dropped connections. Alright, next question. Question 10. Fast API. Fast API performance. A Fast API endpoint has high page 95 latency. How would you debug code, database calls, external APIs, concurrency, and infrastructure? Here's a strong way to approach it. Add tracing spans around each major operation, DB query, external API call, business logic, to see exactly where time is spent for slow requests specifically, not just average latency which can hide a tail latency problem. Check for blocking synchronous calls inside async endpoints stalling the event loop, database queries missing indexes or running without connection pooling limits, and infrastructure level saturation, CPU throttling, insufficient replica count for current load, as separate, checkable hypotheses rather than guessing at one cause. Let's keep going. Question 11. Fast API. Fast API production readiness. What checklist would you use before approving a Fast API service for production? Here's a strong way to approach it. Confirm structured logging, metrics, and tracing are in place with correlation IDs. Health endpoints reflect real dependency status. Authentication and least privilege authorization are implemented and tested. Database connections use pooling with same limits, and graceful shutdown is verified to work under a real rolling update. Also confirm load testing has been done at expected traffic levels. Error handling returns consistent, non-leaky error responses, and rollback is a fast, well-understood operation before the service takes real traffic. On to the next one. Question 12. Terraform or IAC. How do you design reusable infrastructure modules? How do you handle reusable modules with strict state and credential isolation? How do approval workflows reduce the blast radius of infrastructure changes? We don't have a model answer recorded for that one yet, so it's a good one to research on your own. Good. Here's another one. Question 13. Terraform or IAC. Terraform change safety. When a Terraform plan shows a destroy and replace for a critical resource, What signals and guardrails do you rely on to decide whether to proceed, redesign, or block the change? We don't have a model answer recorded for that one yet, so it's a good one to research on your own. Nice. Let's continue. Question 14. Observability. Incident response and observability. Customers report intermittent 5xx errors and P95 latency spikes. Walk me through your observability-driven triage sequence across metrics, logs, and traces. How do you isolate the failing dependency? We don't have a model answer recorded for that one yet, so it's a good one to research on your own. Great. Moving on. Question 15. SRE or reliability. SLEs, slows, and alerting. How do you define customer-centric SLEs, slows, and actionable alerts? How do you filter noisy infrastructure signals? How do you catch both fast outages and slow degradation without paging on transient spikes? We don't have a model answer recorded for that one yet, so it's a good one to research on your own. Alright, next question. Question 16. SRE or reliability. Multi-window burn rate alerting. Walk me through how you would implement multi-window burn rate alerts for a 99.9% availability slow. Which alert windows would you choose? Which alerts should page an on-call engineer immediately, and which should create a ticket for later investigation? We don't have a model answer recorded for that one yet, so it's a good one to research on your own. Let's keep going. Question 17. Behavioral. Tell me about yourself. Here's a strong way to approach it. Structure this in 3 parts and keep it under 90 seconds. A 1-line professional summary, years of experience, core specialization, a brief walk through your career progression highlighting the roles and achievements most relevant to this job, and a closing line connecting your background to why you're excited about this specific opportunity. Avoid reciting your full resume chronologically. Pick the thread that makes the strongest case for this particular role. On to the next one. That wraps up this episode. Nice work practicing, and see you in the next one.